wrong knob.
We are live.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Armchair Analysts here on WDSR, Duquesne Student Radio. My name is Tim.
And my name is Zachary.
There he is. And welcome to our third episode, which is super duper exciting because we finally have YouTube working. Our YouTube link is on my Facebook, and I shared it on my Snapchat as well. How exciting is that?
I really like this angle because it doesn't show like my sitting hair. Like this is a really good angle for me.
Yeah.
Like this is perfect.
It's flattering. It's flattering. I dig it, and I get to be bathed in the glowing lights of our window here. It's pretty nice. But let's get right into it. A lot happened this week, even if the Steelers were not playing. They were on a bye week, along with 5 other teams, which made for a little bit of a boring Sunday, in my opinion. I don't know who comes up with when bye weeks are, but goodness gracious, 6 teams all at once, that is a little bit much.
And I think the working theory is like it's always better to have a late bye. Do you buy into the late bye?
Yes, only because it's a longer season now. 18 weeks, that's a long way to be playing the best of the best. So the later the bye, I believe, it's a little bit of a longer stretch in the beginning, but then you get that late bye that, while everyone else, so when do bye weeks start? Week 4, week 5?
I think so, week 4.
Yeah. So you have a bye week 4. Guess what? That's 14 weeks in a row you got to go now.
What was it, a few years ago that Miami had a week 1 bye because of a storm or something like that?
Yeah, it was something crazy. They just were like, here's your bye week. And it's like, that's not cool. They needed it, but that's not cool.
Do you think the Steelers had a good, do you think this was a perfect time for the bye week, coming off a loss? Do you want to see, do you think this was a good time to slow things down for the Steelers?
I think it was. I think it was definitely, we were spinning our tires a lot, spinning our wheels in the mud. This is a perfect bye week. And most people make a joke here, right, that bad teams also lose to the bye week.
Absolutely.
But we were talking a little bit before we went live. We think the Steelers actually won their bye week. Most importantly, the reason we think that is because nobody got injured and more people got healthy.
Yeah, we've got not only TJ Watt is coming back, but that safety, that who was it, Kantaze Adams or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say his name. He hasn't played yet, but he's been huge. He was a huge acquisition for the Steelers.
Yes, he was.
And he's coming back, and that pass rush is going to look amazing with TJ, because Alex Highsmith for a while was leading the league in sacks. He was doing a good job there. So now you get, I guess this is just going to show the fans that the impact that one player can truly have.
Yeah, it is about the time. It was a perfect time for the bye week. It's time to turn it around. It's time to just had a 2-game losing streak on the road, Miami, Philly.
Getting destroyed, and they got destroyed.
Yes.
And it's twice this season. Well, even if you want to count the Cleveland game, they're just getting. They just look like.
Yeah.
They're not.
So it is.
They shouldn't even be sharing the same field with some of these teams.
Sometimes, unfortunately, but it is time to turn it around. New Orleans comes to Pittsburgh on Sunday, 1:00 game. New Orleans doesn't look that great. I mean, they look good. They're okay. Andy Dalton's throwing prayers down the field every 10 minutes. But I think this is going to be the rebound game.
Absolutely. And as it should be. Can I give you my 3 reasons why I believe the Steelers won the bye week?
Yes, please.
So these are, a bye week, just like you said, Tim, that's the joke. That's the ha, you lose the bye week or whatever, But I have 3 reasons why I think the Steelers should look at the bye week as a W. The first one is the Steelers went from having the 32nd best offense,
so last place. Yeah, last place. There's only 32 teams.
To 31st best offense. Yep,
that's improvement.
Because the Colts only scored 3 points.
Oh my God!
They are now averaging 14.7 points a game, while the Steelers are averaging 15 points a game.
And you know what else I heard about the Colts? Here's something to back up your stat. -2 yards in the first quarter of that game. That's all the offense they had, -2 yards. They did worse than nothing. They could have done nothing, and that would have been a compliment for the Colts.
God, I can't wait to ask you this. I have a question I want to ask you later on. I'm so excited to hear.
Beautiful. Let's hear reason number 2.
So I think, we might be able to say, and of course, it's too early to say this, but it looks more and more like the Steelers drafted the right guy. Malik Willis, I know they almost won that game and stuff like that, but he looked bad.
Yeah.
And they didn't ask him to do anything, And then you had, I think, is the guy from the Colts? Is he a first round pick, or is he a QB pick from this upcoming draft? Sam Ellinger.
He was a early round pick. I don't know that he was a first round pick.
But did he go in this last year's draft?
Gosh, you know what? I think so.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
Sam. I can't even see Ellinger from. It looks like he was from the University of Texas.
Okay.
I'm just gonna look it up right now.
So you have the computer in front of you.
Yeah. So you have when was he drafted? He was 2021 round. He was a 6th round pick.
6th round. Wow.
Round pick.
Okay.
So that's 2 quarterbacks, right? And Atlanta, right? And they're not moving anything. So again, it looks like it may not be the pick of the future. I wouldn't be sad if
you're talking Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett right now looks like
that they made.
Like he, out of all the QBs picked, he looks like he may be the best one.
He was certainly the earliest.
So right, he was certainly the earliest. Absolutely.
The only now confirmed the only first round quarterback taken. Apparently, the next quarterback taken was way later. And Ellinger, who's starting out for the Colts, is a 6th round pick. There's only 7 rounds in the draft.
Right. So yeah,
almost last.
And my third reason, and I think this is the biggest win for the Steelers, is that the Bears lost. So that 2nd round pick again stays super high, right? Yeah. So we're talking right now, if the draft started tomorrow, the Steelers, I believe, would have 3 draft picks in the top 50.
That's amazing.
And as much as we want to complain about Steelers personnel, as we should,
and
right?
We do, yes.
Omar Khan has come in. He's restructured. He's given life to this Steelers organization. They've become players in various aspects that Steelers fans of old are not used to.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we're just going to have to get. I mean, this year is going to be a tough year for Steelers fans. I know last week I gave my prediction that the turnaround starts now with New Orleans, and they're going to go 6-2, and they're going to finish 8-8 or 9-7 or 7-9, whatever I said. But I think Steelers fans haven't had to worry about that for 20 years. When was the last time the Steelers were having a bad season? Not just they're not doing as good as they usually do. This is a bad season.
Yeah.
And I think we're just, like you were saying, we're just going to have to get used to it moving forward and hope for the best. I mean, there's nothing we can do.
New Orleans at home, baby. We get to see Andy Dalton. Too bad it's not prime time. We can see our prime time Andy Dalton. I feel like the Steelers, and other than Andy Dalton and Alvin Kamara, who should be suspended, we're waiting for his suspension any day now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that all the way, but
this to me seems like a winnable game, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it is a 100% winnable game. The Saints are, I said, they're doing okay, but they're not great. They are not. I think they're just barely out of contention in the NFC South.
Andy Dalton has played the Steelers 16 times in his career.
Okay.
Of those 16 times, how many of those have been wins?
4.
Oh, you were so close. That's really really good. It's 3. He's 3-13. 3. That's a really. I would have thought would have been much higher. I feel like maybe it's just because of the losses to Cincinnati just hurt a little bit more.
I think that's it. I think the losses to Cincy are a little bit more. And I was a little bit mistaken. The Saints are 3rd place in the NFC South, right behind the Falcons. In the leader, the Buccaneers. The only team they're beating are the Panthers at 2-7. The Saints are 3-6. The Steelers are 2-6. I just hope it's a good game, and I hope the Steelers win.
What do you think is going to happen? What do you think? What's your game day prediction? Do you have one? How are you feeling about this upcoming game on Sunday?
I think it's like I said, I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I don't know that it's going to be a slugfest, but it's certainly going to be an offensive reemergence for the Steelers. I think they're finally going to find the offense is going to finally figure themselves out between Najee Harris, George Pickens, Kenny Pickett.
Even though this is going to be, I believe their first game without Chase Claypool. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. The average their scoring is 15 points a game. Do you take the over under on 15 points?
I'm over.
You're over.
I'm over. Give them 21.
You think Najee? Who do you think? What about Do you think Kenny Pickett finally has a game where he throws more touchdowns than interceptions?
Yes.
You think this is going to be the game?
Yes. It's been like Steelers fans will remember every time there's a bye, like we're doing not so great, like, you know, a little bit worse than usual. Bye week, come back strong. Like they just figure it out on a bye week. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they wait till a bye week, because we usually have a mid-season bye week. It's very, very rare Steelers have a very early bye week. Or a late one for that matter. This might be one of the latest ones.
I do remember, I think it was late, and this was, I think it was after the bye week, a couple weeks after, but I do remember Tomlin getting on, the Steelers had kind of a slide. They were looking at a good season, and then Steelers said, we are going to unleash hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ended up going like 0-3 in December. So I do remember. They do have, it seems, I don't know.
They unleashed nothing.
Steelers have a tendency to fall apart towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember that Coach Tomlin's first year with the Steelers, his first season.
Right.
So and that was an early, the next year they actually ended up winning the Super Bowl. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. But they got destroyed by Jackson. Not destroyed, but they lost to Jacksonville, a team they should have beaten. This was, I believe, in 07, 08,
Yeah.
07.
Yeah, it was 07.
And, and upon reflection, I remember Mike Tomlin saying, hey, I work those guys too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I work those guys. But it seems like every year that, especially, recently, their 11-0 season's an example where they start out real hot and then they just kind of falter into the end, to the late
Right.
ends. So we'll see. I hope you're right. I meant looking at it, and there's no reason the Steelers lose this game.
You only can go up from here.
Sure.
Truly, you can only go up from here. I don't God, knock on all the wood we have in this studio that it's not a two-way season. 2-16 is a fireable offense. I think the Rooneys don't fire people. We're cleaning house. 2-16, everyone's gone. Tomlin, Canada, everybody.
I don't think they get rid of Mike Tomlin. I don't think they can.
No, they probably still don't. But everybody else around him, see ya.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's what they need. Maybe they should.
But then again, we haven't had a coach go 2-16 since the 50s. So
that's fair.
2-16, maybe that's a fireable offense in my opinion. I don't care how patient the Rooneys might be.
And that will be an interesting discussion. How do you fix 2-16? You're doing something fundamentally wrong, especially with your core group of players. You can only blame so much on so many people.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be interesting. So
but it won't come to that. I'm putting it out in the universe now. It won't come to that. It's not gonna be that. So
Cincinnati or Detroit beats Green Bay.
Oh my God!
What the heck?
I don't know what happened. I think what did we say?
That's my bet. My bet was that freaking Aaron Rodgers was going to beat Minnesota in the
first round.
In the first round. That's and now
doesn't look
Minnesota may get a bye.
Minnesota, I think, has officially taken. They already had a firm grasp on the NFC North with Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit. I think it's a stranglehold now. I truly do. The Bears are the only ones that can catch them, and the Bears right now are a little bit. They're still behind Green Bay. So here's the NFC North standings: Vikings 7-1, Packers 3-6, Bears 3-6, Lions 2-6. Second, third, and fourth place all have the identical record. The Vikings are the only standing. Yeah, it is truly a stranglehold now.
Yeah,
Green Bay needed to win against Detroit to even have a chance of potentially making it into the playoffs.
And that number one seed, I know Philadelphia is undefeated. They're not going to stay undefeated.
Most likely, no.
Right. So this may come down. This may be nuts. Let's just hope Kirk Cousins doesn't have to play in prime time.
Oh, my God. Yeah, but did you see Kirk O'Chains?
I heard mutterings about that.
It was just a video of him on a plane, shirtless, with all his teammates' chains,
maybe
2 diamond watches, dancing. Yeah. So everyone's calling him 2 Kirk O'Chains now.
Excellent.
Yeah. Probably still can't play in prime time.
Do you think Joe Mixon is still scoring touchdowns right now? He had 5 touchdowns on
Sunday. 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
I know. That's insane. And if you had him on your fantasy, you won this week. Unless every other one of your players did nothing, you won. You dominated your fantasy with Joe Mixon. And yeah, he's probably still scoring a touchdown at the practice facility right now. Most likely.
And you know what else was scary? You know what else? And this might be in terms of implication of the future of the NFL. If you watched it, if you like defensive football, that was the game to watch. But New England murdered the Colts.
Oh, absolutely.
They took them to the glue factory.
They murdered them so bad that immediately after the game on Sunday, their owner, Jim Irsay, he's been making the rounds in the news lately. He called Frank Reich and told him, "Yeah, you're fired, buddy."
Now, of course he did. Yeah,
That's absurd. And then the same day, the day after, he called. Did you hear who the interim coach is going to be?
Of course. Yes. Oh my gosh.
The most famous man in all of NFL, at least as far as linemen go. Former president of the NFLPA Players Association, Jeff Saturday, lineman for the Colts, president of the NFL Players Association.
You're forgetting one important, mark on his resume.
Pancakes. He serves up pancakes.
I thought it was. He's a current head coach of a high school team.
Yeah, and also that in Georgia, where high school football is near godlyhood.
Tim, I don't want to be quick to judge, but this sounds like you're happy about this move.
Absolutely, I'm happy.
You like this move.
I love former players getting in as coaches. I think because who knows the game better than those guys? At least in their positions. You know what I mean? Why isn't a former lineman every single offensive line coach? Why isn't a former quarterbacks coach? I get it. Systems change, times change, things are different from active to retire.
He has no experience.
But you know what? The people of Indianapolis and most people who are aware of Jeff Saturday, grew up watching him play. Granted, grew up Steelers fan, but got to see a lot of Jeff Saturday when the Colts would come to town or Steelers would be there, especially in the playoffs when rumbling, bumbling bus is scoring touchdowns the other way and all this kind of stuff. But Jeff Saturday is just such a likable guy. You know what I mean? He also
yelling at Peyton Manning. I love that clip. I love that.
And that's the kind of guy he was. Though he wasn't just some smash mouth football player. He was, but he was also one of the smartest dudes on the sideline. He was already coaching while he was there. He was the coach for everybody. The only person smarter than him on that team was Peyton Manning.
Who are your top, we'll say, just on the top of your head real quick, top 4, 5, 3 NFL coaches?
Top 4? I don't know. Are we doing statistics or personal favorites?
Who you think the best coaches are right now?
Jesus. Well, hard to say, but hard to give into this, but Bill Belichick.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Then I would definitely go Bill Cowher. This isn't active coaches, right?
Let's see if you could stick it to active, but whatever. Yeah, let's stick it to active. Let's stick it to active.
All right, then never mind.
No, if you want to, this is your show. Let's do all of them. Okay, so all time.
All time, it was Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher was a treat to watch every time.
So we got Bill Belichick, Bill Cowher. You like the Bills?
The Bills are good. Okay. And who else was it? It was Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy.
I really like Tony. He was a good guy.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. I'm starting to see why I like Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
Former players.
Former players.
Did you like Jeff Fisher?
Yeah.
Most overrated coach.
I think so.
You celebrate.
I think so. And you know what? I'm gonna finish off because I said 4. Doug Peterson. I really enjoy.
You are just a former player guy. I was gonna call you out and say
they're the guys.
Wow.
They're the guys who Well, no, Bill Belichick wasn't a former player.
He's 3 of your 4.
Yeah, 3 of the 4. But either way,
and he's a historian.
Yeah, and that guy grew up with it. You know what I mean? He grew up in the coaching atmosphere. But either way, I think former players make some of the best coaches because they know how to talk to players. They know how to get in their heads. They know how to motivate. I know you have this whole thing against coaches needing to motivate people.
Right.
In Dan Campbell's with the Lions thing, but I mean, sure, these other coaches like Doug Peterson and them, they may not scream and shout and get everyone hyped up, but they know how to get in your head and make you want to go out there and actually do something. And I think you only get that really through former players or a guy like Bill Belichick who's been coaching for 80 years.
So is New England? So who goes to the playoffs now? I mean, which team? New England. The Colts couldn't do anything. They could not do a single thing. Would you tell me earlier in the show that they had negative 3 yards or 3 yards of offense or
negative
something?
2 yards in the first quarter of offense.
That's insane. So
it's worse than nothing.
Who's the second? So who goes? Who's the second team? So I think we talk about playoffs for the AFC, right?
Yeah.
We know who's most likely gonna make it. It's gonna be Bills. It's going to be Chiefs. It's going to be probably the Titans.
Yep.
And then, the Ravens, right?
Ravens simply because they're first place in the AFC North right now.
So who are the next 3 teams, right? So you you put Cincinnati up there?
Cincinnati is going to be a close call, but I think they will make it.
So who are your other two teams? I mean, who are your wild cards?
Looking at this, there is going to be the Jets / I'm going to put this as one. The Jets / Dolphins. They have the same record right now.
Right.
They're the same record within the division,
Okay.
2-1 in the division.
So we might say those are 5 and 6, probably. Is that your 5 and 6?
I think they would be 5 and 6. And then number 7, I'm looking at the Chargers right now.
You're looking at the Chargers
Because again, the AFC West is the Chiefs at 6 and 2, number 1, gonna go. Chargers 5 and 3, and then Broncos 3 and 5, Raiders 2 and 6.
So you don't think Cincinnati makes it? You don't think Ravens or Ben? You don't think the AFC North is sending 2 teams this year?
I think it's gonna be one or the other.
You think
It's
it's
either gonna be
one or the
Ravens or Bengals, and it's gonna
Okay.
come down to I think a late season matchup between them. I really do.
I just find the Chargers have like this poetically beautiful way of screwing it up.
That
Like
is
they
also
are
true.
they are a true definition of a tragic. I remember when I lived in San Diego for a while, and that they would get so hyped, and they were a good team, but they just always found ways to disappoint their people. They just never living up to expectations, just
Yeah.
falling right in the most
Just
tragic ways.
underneath it. Yeah.
Ladainian Tomlinson, the year he had 32 touchdowns,
hmm
he gets hurt in the AFC Championship. You got
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers playing with no ACL or a torn ACL.
But you know who was the reason the Chargers always let everybody down?
Marty Schottenheimer,
No. Well, yes, but no. Tom Brady and the Patriots.
sure.
If they met
That's
Tom
fair.
Brady and the Patriots at any point in the playoffs, the Chargers were gone. Week 17, they could beat them. They were gone. The Patriots had a habit of doing that to a lot of people in the 2000s.
Right, yeah.
In the
Steelers fans
odds,
should know
in the
that.
2010s. Yeah, they had a really bad habit of doing it to a lot of teams. The Colts, the Steelers, and the Chargers were their favorite targets, we'll say. But yeah, no, I mean, and even looking at it right now, the Chargers have a better in-division record at 2-1 in the AFC West than the Bengals do in the AFC North. The Bengals are 0-3 in the North. Like they're not
Right.
beating the teams that matter,
Sure.
which is their division.
Sure.
The Steelers beat them week 1. That was like the biggest upset of the week, I'm pretty sure. Even though nobody thought the Steelers were going to be in the position they're in now, but
Man, I think I agree with you. I think, you know what, though? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disagree with you here, right?
for the sake of it.
For the sake of it. And, a little bit, yeah. I think, man, because you make some compelling arguments about the Bengals. And, they're without their number one weapon, and they can't beat the division.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't count the Patriots out. I think the AFC East can send 3 teams into the playoffs.
I think they do, but it's going to be Buffalo. Jets.
Oh, I think they send 4 players in the playoffs. I think they send 4 teams to the playoffs.
That would be unprecedented. I don't think that's has that ever happened before?
I don't.
It would be a sight to behold.
Right. I think the AFC North was the last team to send multiple players or 3 teams to a playoffs. I think this might be the year. I just can't count out that. Oh man,
But I do.
They have
And
no offense.
Well, here's why. The New England Patriots, their offense, like Mac Jones has regressed. Whatever progress he was making up until getting pulled from that one game when I think he got hurt and then Bailey Zappi came in. Zappi, whatever effect Zappi has on Mac Jones has completely regressed his offensive prowess to pretty much what it was last year, which was, it's okay. It's not great, but yeah, he'll grow. Like, I think he's reversed back to, and that's just what I saw. Like, yeah, it was 21-3 New England over the Colts, but I didn't see anything that was like, oh my God, dude, these guys, like, if I feel like if the Patriots offense was really all that, it would have been like 45-3. You know what I mean? So the Colts absolutely got some stops.
Right.
There were some aspects. So I don't think the Patriots go, but the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins look really good. The Ravens and Titans, Chiefs, maybe Chargers. Most likely Chargers. Let me put it that way. I'm going to put my money on
The
it.
Chargers look. I mean, they have the man. I might have to agree with you.
Uncanny
That's
ability. Yeah, I get it.
That's
Dude, I
tough.
get it. But looking at the rest of the AFC, Broncos 3-5. Russell Wilson looks abysmal.
Tough. Right. Who else
Raiders
is playing?
2-6. They're not going anywhere. Colts 3-5-1. I don't think even Jeff Saturday's going to turn this one around.
I definitely do not think Jeff.
Jaguars 3-6. Doug Peterson's rebuilding that whole town. Houston Texans 1-6-1. I mean, what do you even do with them? The fact that those guys were in prime time against an undefeated Eagles is like abysmal. They just did that to capitalize on the World Series stuff.
Sure. Okay.
That's the only reason they did it. And
Okay.
then North Ravens 6-3, Bengals 5-4, And then it splits Browns 3-5, Steelers 2-6.
Now, before we head off to the NFC, so you have four division leaders, right? You've got Buffalo,
Yep.
right, who looks just, even in their loss, they look good.
Yeah, they lost to the Jets, which congrats to the Jets because that's the game they needed to win to prove that they're for real.
Yeah.
All right. Now Buffalo can swallow their pride a little bit and then go out there and beat the heck out of whoever's coming up next.
So you've got Buffalo and Kansas City, kind of the cream of the crop in terms of division leaders. But then you have Tennessee and Baltimore. Who do you think the weakest AFC, like who do you think is the weakest AFC division leader?
Right now, I think it's Baltimore.
You think it's Baltimore?
I really do. I really do.
Wow.
And it's just
is that homerism? Is that your Steelers
It's
black
like-
and gold bleeding in your veins?
It's like 25% homerism. Like
Okay.
it's a little like I hate when the Baltimore Ravens succeed at anything.
Sure,
I
me
really
too.
do.
Yep.
But Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. But we had this discussion a little bit last week. Who's he throwing to?
Right.
He throws to his tight end, Mark Andrews,
Who's had some injuries?
who's had injury-prone seasons. But he has no wide receivers.
Right.
His running backs are unreliable. He runs the ball better than most of the time of his running backs.
Yeah.
So I just think when it comes down to it, I would much rather.
Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback.
He doesn't need to have a quarter. You don't need to have a quarterback because Derrick Henry's right here.
You have an aging running back. He goes hurt though, which is
People are still trying to get out of his way,
Sure.
so they don't have to hit him head on. They let him pass and then trip him up. That's 3 extra yards every time, and you only ever need. I don't know if you ever played little league ball, like little league football. The catchphrase was 3 yards, 3 yards in a stretch every run.
Sure.
3 yards in a stretch, and you will get a first down and touchdown every single drive. If you could guarantee yourself 3 yards on every down.
That is not true because I've watched Najee Harris run for the past 6 weeks, and his is dance around and get 1 yard maybe.
Right. He's not guaranteed 3 yards,
Yeah,
so he's a
not
fool.
getting 3 yards. So all right, let's look at the other side of that coin then. So with the AFC, I think it's safe to say the AFC, the cream of the crop's really good. The rest of it, crap.
Not great. Yeah.
The rest
Not
of it's
great.
crapshoot. So let's look at the NFC East. I mean, with the NFC East, you've got, oh my gosh, can the Eagles be stopped?
Eagles 8-0. High Super Bowl odds right now for the Eagles.
Sure.
I mean, it looks great, but I actually right before we walked in here, I saw a quote from Jalen Hurts at a press conference. He goes, "I've been on a team that's been 8-0, and we lost the national championship." He's referring to his college days.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the national championship, so we haven't done anything yet. So he's not impressed,
yeah, bro.
which is exactly what you want to hear from your starting quarterback, that you haven't accomplished anything at 8-0.
I think during the bye week, there was a headline floating around that said Minka Fitzpatrick told the Steelers to draft Jalen Hurts. Like
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, and you know what they say about Minka, and I challenge you, I dare you to find one negative thing about Minka Fitzpatrick. Nick Saban loves him, Mike Tomlin, So he's got, and they like him because he's so smart. He's a student of the game. And
They like him so much. I mean, I'm pretty sure they listened to him when they were like, "Hey, bring Brian Flores onto the team," because he was Minka's coach in Miami.
Yeah.
For like a minute, but he was.
Sure. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
he loved the guy, so then we picked him up.
That's good to know. So yeah, there ain't no right, and as we stated before, you can't sustain that, right? Like they're not popping champagn.
Steelers went 11-0 before they lost.
Yeah, and they got destroyed in the playoffs.
Exactly. But this Eagles team feels, I don't know, they feel like they've really brought it all together, and I do not like the Eagles. This is not this actually pains me to say it, but they got it all together right now. They have great wide receivers, and especially an AJ Brown, who's just going up for everything. Jalen Hurts just has to put it within 10 yards of AJ Brown. He'll get it.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is
Why did Tennessee do that? That is so dumb.
I to this day, I have no idea. I haven't seen or heard anything other than they're just like, well, they probably just couldn't afford him. I think that's what it was. I think Philadelphia made him an offer, really lucrative offer. He went to Tennessee and was like, hey, they're offering me this. Can you match it? And they were like, nope. So there you go. That's the only thing I can think of is they just couldn't afford him anymore.
718 yards this season.
Oh,
6 touchdowns.
And we're like halfway through the season.
Yeah, I think he scored 3 of those against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did actually.
So
The Eagles are for real. The rest in their division, Cowboys 6-2. Wow, where did those guys come from all of a sudden? Everyone was kind of down on them.
Yeah.
Because admittedly, they don't think Dak's a very good quarterback. I don't think Dak's a very good quarterback. But compared to Cooper Rush, everyone was high on Cooper Rush there for a second because he was winning. And then he threw 2 interceptions in like the opening quarter or something. And they were like, oh, okay, that's maybe we'll go back to Dak.
Yeah, I think, they actually, I think personnel wise, there's reason to believe that they got worse than they were the year before. And then Mike McCarthy seems to be, last season seemed to be very underwhelming.
Yeah.
But not this year, man. They, in the beginning of the season opener, I think Dallas got thrashed a little bit. They weren't, but
They looked really bad there for a second with the Cowboys.
Who do you like, Cowboys or Giants? They're
Well,
both 6-2.
They're both 6-2. Cowboys are 2-1 in the division. Giants are only 0-1, so they haven't really played anybody within their own division yet. I like the Giants more than the Cowboys because my dad being a Steelers fan, our whole family being a Steelers family, there's some deep-seated rivalry with the Cowboys going, trading off Super Bowls back in the day when the Steelers were going on their tear back in the 70s. So personally, I like the New York Giants a little bit more. I'm not discrediting the Cowboys this year though because it would be a tough game. I think it would be a tough game. Saquon Barkley is a monster in the backfield. Finally, yeah, he's finally healthy enough to continue to be a monster, which is covering up for Daniel Jones, even though he has improved. I will say Daniel Jones looks like a much better quarterback than he did when he first took over. But Dak Prescott, I think, is still a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Ezekiel Elliott looks kind of worse than Saquon Barkley. Like, he's not.
But they had that Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard's going nuts. And you know what? The biggest game changer on the Cowboys defensively, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Dude is all over the place.
Yeah,
dude is a monster. So I think he's the X factor that
I think they
beats the Giants.
They line him on outside too. Like he's all over the field. He's
all
not
over
just.
The field. He's fast. He's strong, and he's smart. And that is like bad news bears. We'll call it. Well, that's bad news for the Giants. So I think I rescind my answer. I think ultimately the Cowboys beat the Giants. But I still think both of them make the playoffs. I think the NFC East sending 3 teams to the playoffs, and that's the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys.
I think that's it.
Which is, who saw this coming based on the AFC East a couple years ago, or even last year, where the winning team was a losing record, like 7-9 and making the playoffs. Like, that was atrocious.
Well, this brings me to my next question. What doesn't feel right? Like, what hits your gut wrong? Like, so there's 4 division leaders.
Yes.
Which one just doesn't feel like in your gut that they don't belong? So you have Philadelphia, you have Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. Which one just hits you like, hey, this is weird? And I think arguably you could make a case if we had a time machine and we went back, week 1, even week 2, and said, hey, throughout halfway through the season, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay are going to be leading their divisions. I think people look at you weird.
Yeah, people look at you funny, especially because, all right, so let's don't look at their records and just think about it on paper week 1. Seattle trades away Russell Wilson, releases Bobby Wagner, their all-star linebacker, right? I mean, they just went piece by piece by piece, dismantling themselves. Their starting quarterback
made no moves to get a quarterback.
No moves.
Their
starting quarterback
controversy over Drew Lock.
Drew
Lock almost started for this team.
But it's Geno Smith now. Who's Geno Smith, you ask? Exactly, a career backup, typically. So everyone would look at you funny and go, well, the NFC East is terrible, so the Eagles, of course, would be leading because they probably are the most competent at this point. Never thought they'd be 8-0. Funny enough, though, to answer the original question of which team doesn't belong, it's Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay doesn't belong as a division leader because, let's look at their records. 4-5, Tampa Bay, leading the NFC South. Arguably the worst division in football right now because every single team in it has a losing record, under 500% win. Like, it is, I should say, under 0.5% winning. Yeah, Tampa Bay leads at 4-5. Atlanta's right behind them at 4-5, but interdivision games means that Tampa Bay's doing better at 2-1. Falcons are 1-2, and then it drops off significantly to the Saints at 3-6, coming to Pittsburgh, and then the Panthers 2-7, who got absolutely backhanded by a rebounding Bengals this past week. So, and I don't like it. I don't like it, Zach, and it's because if the season ended today, that means Tampa Bay, by rule, has a playoff appearance. They would be the number 4 seed. They're not going to get a bye. They're not going to get any kind of special treatment, but they still make the playoffs when you could get another team like the 49ers or, I don't know.
49ers about to catch some fire.
Cowboys, the Giants, even the Commanders. Like, I mean, for goodness sakes, the Commanders are 4-5 and they're last place in their division, not first place. I can't stand it. And the NFC, everyone had the same complaints about the NFC East last year, where a 7-9 Cowboys made the playoffs.
So you think, because they play each other this week, they play each other, New England and not New England, Jesus, Tampa Bay and Seattle, they play each other. Are you going to take Geno Smith over the GOAT?
Yeah.
You're going to take a career, as you said, a career backup over a guy who's, they may rename the Hall of Fame after Brady. They may call it the Brady of Fame.
The Brady of Fame, the Hall of Brady's.
The Hall of Brady.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna take that.
Honestly, though, you have to think about this too. Those quarterbacks are never actually going to see each other on the field. Right?
Sure.
This is an offense versus a defense, and I truly believe Seahawks defense is better than the Tampa Bay defense. I think Geno Smith can throw around and dice up the Buccaneers defense and just tick Tom Brady off on the sideline a lot better than Tom Brady, who has admittedly a lot of distractions going on off the field. But also so does the rest of his team. I mean, like we've already said, he's not the problem. He's just part of it. I don't see him getting past the Seahawks defense. The Seahawks are actually enjoying themselves post Russell Wilson, which I don't think anyone saw coming. They have finally said, like, you know what, I think it was Tyler Lockett came out, one of the receivers came out and said, we have more fun during a game when we don't care who gets credit, which kind of throws a little bit of shade at Russell Wilson going,
oh, they love to do that.
Yeah.
There's been so much
There's
shade.
been a lot. And the Broncos aren't doing anything to back this dude up. Like, they're just like, oh, we're just going to keep
Do you
playing.
like Russell Wilson?
No. I've never liked Russell Wilson.
Why?
He just seems so arrogant. He's so full of himself.
Right.
But it's a guy.
Well,
like,
the football player isn't full of himself.
He acts so humble, though. Like, he pretends to be the most humble guy in the world, and he's not. I mean, have you seen his whole Team 3 thing? Like, it was as bad as TB12, except he didn't have the stats or the Super Bowls to back it up.
He went on a plane to London, and as the players are sleeping, he's doing exercises.
Yeah.
He's exercising on the way.
Why?
Everybody has to be.
I'd be so
rolling their eyes. Like,
Dude,
that is so
sit
corny.
down. It's different if you're, let's say you're the Eagles, and you're 8-0, and your quarterback is on a plane at 3 a.m. over the Atlantic doing high knees down the aisle. You're thinking to yourself, wow, this game must really mean a lot to him.
Right.
But it's Russell Wilson and the 3-5, 3-6 Broncos, where it's, bro, we've just lost the last 5 games in a row.
Did they win that game? Did they beat Jacksonville?
I think they did, actually.
I think you're right.
But
maybe it worked.
Maybe it worked. Maybe he needs to start doing high knees all hours of the day, because apparently that's the only thing that gets him motivated enough to go out there and win. He just doesn't look like he belongs on Broncos field. Like, he just doesn't. He rubs me the wrong way too, and I have no idea why. I can't put it into words, but because he pretends to be this humble guy. He's not.
He's just corny.
Yeah.
He's Tim Tebow, except with a little more accuracy.
Yeah.
And I can stand.
And without the fad.
Right.
Nothing Russell Wilson has done has been famous other than his mistake of throwing the ball at the 1-yard line. Like, that is a play that is. I watch NFL top 100s every once in a while,
Sure.
just to get a little bit of history. And as far as like worst plays of all time, that's usually in the top 10.
Right.
His throw at the 1-yard line, interception in the Super Bowl. It's a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? Unfortunately for him, that's going to be the only thing he's known for. What was there? The Legion of Doom or the Legion of Boom?
Legion of Boom.
Yeah. That wasn't even him. That was his running back and defense. That was all that was. Like, Russell Wilson was not a part of that. Nothing Russell Wilson did had anything to do with the Legion of Boom. So, no, I don't like him. I don't like him at all.
So in the NFC, it's a little bit different than the AFC. So you have the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Buccaneers, division leaders, right? So, well, okay, let's do it like this. So who makes it in the playoffs for the NFCs? I think the Eagles are for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think you got to put the Vikings in unless something crazy happens. But I think the rest of it's wide open. And let's look at the NFC West since we're talking about all of that. You have the 6-3, right? But just like game behind them, sitting at 4-4, is the 49ers, and they have Christian McCaffrey.
They just got CMC, and that is going to carry them, I think.
And then you have, the reigning Super Bowl champions, and then you've got, Call of Duty lovers, Call of Duty, led Cardinals. So who wins the NFC West? Who gets in the playoffs from the NFC West?
I would be absolutely shocked if the 49ers don't end up making it.
Right.
Because they have
Do you think they win that division?
I don't think they win the division.
Okay.
No, I think the Seahawks stay on top. I really do. Because the Seahawks just look so good.
Okay.
But I think the 49ers have the talent. They're bringing it all together. What's their quarterback now? Not Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo, the best-looking quarterback in the NFL.
The best-looking quarterback in the NFL. The most handsome guy in the NFL. Good
People say I look like him.
That's not true. It might be true. I don't know. People might meet.
Blind people say
you might know a lot of blind.
Yeah, my grandma. Loved ones.
That's fine. You are as tan as Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll give you that.
Oh, thank you.
You look about as tan as
him.
Thank you. So, but they have Jimmy Garoppolo. They have like a legion of running backs now led by Run CMC Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle at tight end, one of the most dominant physical tight ends there are.
Who I just got him in my fantasy football trade.
Nice. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on your win next week.
I hope so.
But yeah, they have all these pieces. Their defense is nothing to laugh at. Like they aren't shutting teams down, but they're holding them down. Like they're not letting people just run up and down the field on them. So
okay, so we have the Eagles getting in.
Yep.
We have the Seahawks winning the division.
Yep.
We have the Vikings winning the division, right? So those are three.
Yeah.
And then you think the Cowboys and the Giants are both going to make it?
I think at least, yeah. So let's see. Seahawks, Eagles.
I don't want to touch the NFC South, so leave at least one open for the NFC South.
Right. So then division leader in the South, whoever it is.
Right.
And then, Cowboys, Giants, 49ers.
Okay.
That's our 7.
So let's go. So the NFC South, you got Bucks at 4-5,
Yep.
the Falcons at 4-5,
Nobody
the
saw
Saints 3-6, who come into a hostile Pittsburgh environment on Sunday.
Ready to beat them.
And then you've got the fire crash, the Carolina Panthers,
Who are selling off everything they own to rebuild next season.
So who do you think wins in the NFC South? I mean, it's so hard to pick so many times. Have I picked against Tom Brady? He's just proved me wrong.
Exactly. And frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm just gonna say I think the Bucs are still gonna win.
I do too.
I really do, but I don't think it's gonna be pretty.
And I don't care. I think these problems are not Tom Brady. I think this is a team thing. I think Tom Brady looks great. I think Tom Brady could play for the next, at least at this high, the next 2-3 seasons. But yeah, and I think it's going to come down to quarter when you have, not good teams. I think what sets them from the rest is quarterback play, and I think you have the best quarterback of all time. I think Tom. I just can't choose Tom Brady over Jameis Winston,
Marcus Mariota,
or whatever XFL, or former first overall draft pick that the Carolinas are starting. I can't do it.
No, and I'm right there with you. Actually, fun little thing about Tom Brady. He just passed 100,000 passing yards. The first quarterback ever to do that. But in the divorce, he can only keep 50,000. So sorry about
still
that.
A lot. Still
a lot. But hey, you almost had a record there. No, I'm kidding. Congrats to Tom on that. But I still think the Buccaneers are going to take it over. But you know what? I had a question while you're going on that rant. Let's say Buccaneers make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is hypothetical. I don't actually think this is going to happen. Let's say they lose in the second round of the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They miss the NFC Championship by one game, and let's say it's a close one to, I don't know, whoever, the Vikings. If you're the Buccaneers, do you try to get Tom to come back if he wants to?
Tom Brady's leaving. He is not going to be in the Buccaneers next year. Not going to happen.
Do you think he goes and takes that $375 million contract at Fox to announce?
I don't think he ends up at the Buccaneers. I don't think he's happy. I think Bruce Arians and I know he's not the head coach, but he has a lot more say than I think a lot of people realize.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Brady needs structure. I don't think Tampa Bay provides that for him. I think it's too much up and down. That's weird. Tom Brady's had a weird career, a successful but weird. You had the Antonio Brown thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the retiring and the unretiring,
Yeah.
and then you had the coach, and everyone thought Byron Leftwich was going to be the head coach, and it ends up being the other guy, the defensive coordinator, being the coach.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's too much unstable environment, which Tom Brady and I think a lot of successful people just don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So I just think
you
there's
come
too
from
much.
a place where you played with the same coach and the same head coach and Bill Belichick, and not the same players, but you had a structure, you had a routine in New England for 15 years or something.
Do you know where it would be the perfect fit for Tom Brady?
Indianapolis.
I had an offensive line. I'm thinking Denver Broncos. It'd be the perfect fit for him. Could you imagine? I know he'd never do it because he doesn't want to step on Peyton, but could you imagine?
They would never afford him either because they still have to pay Russell Wilson for the next 5 years. But yes, I think that would be the way to go. And you know what, if John Elway, God forbid, ever listened to this show, he's licking his chops and going, "That kid Zach's got a great idea.
Absolutely.
That dude's got a great idea." Unfortunately, it's not realistic.
Find me on LinkedIn.
Sorry, Elway.
So let's get into this upcoming. Finally, the Steelers are back. We get to watch them Thursday night, tomorrow night. Do you know what tomorrow is, Tim? November 10th.
Yes, I do.
What is tomorrow?
It is the 247th birthday of the United States.
I love that you have that number. I love
Absolutely,
that. I love
dude.
that.
We are turning 247.
Couldn't look any better.
Couldn't look any better.
Absolutely.
Love it.
So on this prestigious, should be national holiday, do you think I can get out of class for that?
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Well, you're an adult, dude. You can just skip class, and what are they going to do?
Yeah, but it sounds more dramatic. Falcons. So how is the Marine Corps? How is the NFL going to celebrate the Marine Corps?
By giving us the Falcons at Panthers.
Falcons at Carolina Panthers.
But it's a rematch. It's a rematch of the
rematch.
match of the game they had a couple weeks ago that Falcons won in overtime after Carolina had the most dramatic final second. This is what got PJ Walker's name, their starting XFL quarterback, out there, threw a bomb.
A dime
to DJ Moore into the end zone for a last-second touchdown. DJ Moore rips his helmet off in celebration, takes the worst penalty of the season, and then his kicker still shanks it. No big deal. We go to overtime, right? In overtime, Carolina drives all the way down the field. Kicker sets up, and this is to win the game because the Falcons already had the ball once. So kicker lines up, shanks it again. Falcons march down, kick and score.
I know.
Easy day, win the game. So this is a rematch of that dramatic game.
And if I can tell, if I can give some advice to our listeners, especially those that play fantasy, to only those that play fantasy football, this advice would be not good for you. And Terrace Marshall Jr. That is your underrated steal of the week.
Okay.
Coming up, he's a wide receiver for Carolina. So I like him because he's already built this chemistry with PJ Walker. He had a really nice touchdown. He had his first touchdown. He's in his second year. Had his first touchdown with Baker Mayfield. You have Robbie Anderson who got out of there. Terrace Marshall, I think, is going to sneak you points. If you're hurting for somebody, you like to gamble. I'm telling you, Terrace Marshall Jr. is a name that maybe not this week, maybe, but he is going to be somebody you want to store and stash on your fantasy football.
If not this week, then when? I don't think Carolina's schedule is getting any easier.
Yeah.
If you have it in front of you, please correct me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right. They play Atlanta and Baltimore, and then they have Denver and Seattle, and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Tampa Bay. So he's got there's some
Denver,
good games,
Detroit, yeah.
Pittsburgh, unfortunately.
I don't think Carolina's beating Pittsburgh.
No, I do not. But it doesn't matter if you rack up a bunch of fantasy points.
That's also true.
I think and then they've got Tampa Bay. So I'm just out there, a little bit of My gift to the world
And thank God you're here.
on the United States Marine Corps birthday is pick up Terrace Marshall Jr. on your fantasy. So who do you like in that game? Who do you like? You like Falcons or Panthers?
Oh my God! I just hope it's as dramatic and fun to watch as it was last time, because this has all the makings of another primetime snoozer.
You taking the over or the under? I don't even know what it is, but every game Thursday night I've taken the under. Recently, that trend has been bucked.
Yeah, I would take the over just because these guys
right.
went to town on each other. What was the final score of the game? Like 35-32 or
something like that.
Something crazy.
I think 70 points is in that realm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at it. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier. Seattle and Buccaneers. Like, Buccaneers on paper seem like they should be winning.
Game in Munich, by the way. This is a 9:30 a.m. game on the East Coast.
Oh, no kidding!
They're playing in. They're not playing in London. They're playing in Munich, Germany, which is like the first time in over 30 years that this has ever happened. That I might be exaggerating that, but it's the first time in a really long time NFL Europe, like since NFL Europe was a thing. Yeah. So they're going to be in Munich, Germany. Seahawks against the Buccaneers. Give me the Seahawks. Again, just because I think Gino can carve through the Buccaneers defense better than Tom can carve through the Seahawks defense. Not saying this is the Legion of Boom reincarnate, but it's good. Like, they're doing great. They're doing good work.
And what I think is going to be the mistake or the true tragedy of Week 10, how is the Vikings and Bills not on prime time?
Oh, I know.
That would be. I mean, obviously it's good for Kirk Cousins because he's horrible in prime time.
He might win, yeah.
But
so
Bills
there's two
Vikings slugfest.
It's going to be, I hope, a slugfest. I mean, It's two good defenses going against each other. The Bills have the better, but the Vikings just have so many weapons. Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Kirk Cousins himself isn't afraid to get down and dirty. Dalvin Cook, the running back. But then you have Josh Allen, who injured his elbow on Sunday. I don't know if you saw that. He got up and was kind of shaking his arm out.
Yeah.
It's a UCL sprain in his elbow. So it's not like torn. He's not going to be out for an extended period of time, but he is day-to-day. So he might not even play. I don't know how you don't play him against a strong opponent like this. Like, we are looking at Vikings-Bills. I'm not saying that
it's out of division though. Like I get record-wise, but who cares?
This is a potential Super Bowl matchup.
I mean, yeah,
the trend these teams are going. I mean, who would have ever thought of Minnesota-Buffalo Super Bowl?
And I think we're both on that same. It's the NFC representation against the Bills, right? Yeah. I think that's so. This is them and Philadelphia. I think are two very likely teams.
If you can beat either one of them, if you can beat the Vikings or the Eagles, you're looking good going forward. And it doesn't matter who you meet up with. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills save Josh Allen because they have more important games to worry about coming up. For instance, let me see if I can load up their Week 11 matchup real quick before I finish this sentence. And it is against the Browns. Okay, so that's fine. But either way, they have more important matchups coming up than an out of division, out of conference 7-1 Vikings. Not saying the Bills want to go 6-3, especially if New York is going to continue their tear, especially if Miami is going to continue their tear. Like, Bills want to protect the 1 seed at all costs. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you said them. You have to.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's fine. You're still.
You can always make it back. And you know what? I just said that they're going to have more important games coming up. I just looked ahead. Their next 2 weeks are going to be against who did I say first?
Browns.
The Browns, and then after that's the Lions. So you have 2 back-to-back wins. We'll just call it what it is. 2 wins right there, I think. So they could get back into it if they do decide to sit them and still lose. But how crazy would it be if they sat them and still won? Like, that would prove the Vikings don't deserve to be where they are.
Some people believe that. Some people believe that.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Vikings. I think they're absolutely dominant in what is normally a very contentious division with the Packers.
Sure.
So
Steelers and Saints. I mean, I think we both talked about that. I Homerism, I don't care. I mean, I believe you got TJ Watt. I mean, he's coming back. He's coming. You know, he's got to be.
And he wants to say hi to his old buddy Andy Dalton.
Heck yeah, Andy Dalton 3-13 against the Steelers. It's a home game. We need it. I think it's. I think that's there. What about this Monday night game? Oh my gosh, Commanders against Eagles.
I don't
Flex that. Put the Minnesota game in that one.
If anyone can beat the Eagles, so here's my problem with this game for the Eagles. This is a classic entrapment game, right? I mean, it's a division opponent, so you're not completely overlooking them. But if I'm the Commanders, I want to come in and I want to beat the crap out of my undefeated division rivals.
Sure.
I want to be the team that stops the Eagles in Philadelphia. They're in Philadelphia. It's not an easy place to win, and the Commanders haven't exactly had everything together. But Taylor Heineke's not a guy to just roll over on, the quarterback for the Commanders. He is not just some dude who's going to roll over.
Chip on his shoulder. They keep.
Yeah.
You put in.
The whole team, the whole franchise is a mess. The Commanders. They're from ownership down to G. It's a mess. It's a mess. But I think if anyone's gonna beat the Eagles, it's gonna come from their division, and why not the Commanders? Right? They'll go 5-5, hand the Eagles their first loss. It'll be the upset of probably the season. Most likely. Probably, yeah. It's a bigger upset than Detroit over Packers because the Packers aren't looking very good.
So you got the Ravens and you got Cincinnati on buys that week. Do you think the Steelers can make any? Do you think there's any hope for this sneaking in the wild card?
No, I don't. I truly.
I mean, there's still a way, right? You can still get in the playoffs at 10-6.
Yeah,
or
you're not in that,
11-6.
and this is where I'm super glad we're not in the mathematically eliminated territory.
Right.
I hate when they do that.
But 2 wins before, by week 10 is not a good indication.
No, it's not a good time. But if, like I said, I think I said it last week. I think they go on a tear, and it starts now. They finish at worst 7-9. And it all starts with this New Orleans game.
You get to 3-6. Browns drop to 3-6. Have the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off here for a second. Sure. Jets are on a bye this week.
Oh yeah.
So Buffalo can sit Josh Allen, and even if Miami wins, they're not doing better in the division than Buffalo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I sit Josh Allen.
I think our armchair analysis is going to have us sit. Who's the head coach of the Bills? What's that guy's name? Gainey?
No, it's another Danny.
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott.
Yeah. Sean, if you're listening, buddy, this is Zach and Tim.
Again, God forbid you're listening to this.
We have literally multiple listeners on our YouTube channel.
Do we?
Probably.
Okay. We have at least one.
Definitely, at least. So, as avid sports fans, we are telling you it's okay to sit Josh Allen.
Sports stooges. I'm going to steal something from Pat McAfee. We were sports stooges.
We're sports stooges. Sports stooges.
Yeah.
So I guess that covers up. Any games that you want to watch this week? Anything that really catches your fancy? I think that Tom Brady
Seahawks.
I think that's going to be a good game. I don't even call them by the team name. I just call them the Tom Brady.
The Tom Brady's. The only other game I was going to be looking at is the must-win scenario for the Chargers, which is just to prove that they belong. So it's against San Francisco, which is a very middle-of-the-road team right now who's on an upswing, really. But I think this is a must-win. That is a must-win for the Chargers in San Francisco because it will prove that they're not just going to, Cinderella story it and lose in the final minutes. You know what I mean? Like this is going to help, I think, solidify their position as second place in the AFC West.
I just can't get up on them. I've watched them
disappoint
their fan base year in and year out.
If they lose this game, you are correct. If they win this game, I hold on to hope for another week.
Sure, okay.
I'm not going to say I'm correct. I'm just saying I hold on to a little bit more hope.
And then you've got, Mike McCarthy going back to Green Bay, with the Dallas Cowboys. But I think we know. I think we
already know how that game's going to go. Green Bay is not looking good. I don't think they're even making the playoffs. I think your bet is on.
It's looking that way. They just can't. Aaron, stop doing drugs and
I don't think he does.
Weird.
I don't think he does them during the season. I don't think he does that during the season.
Yeah, but I'm probably not.
He did a ton of it on the offseason. Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? Work out? Get better? No, dude. Hang out with Joe Rogan.
If you would have been vaccinated, you would have won that.
We can't pull that. We don't know that. We don't know that.
Whatever he's doing is wrong.
He's doing is wrong. He needs to fix it. I think it's a number of things, including the fact that he doesn't have anybody to actually throw the ball to. And Aaron Jones is all over the freaking place.
I think and maybe you'll appreciate this more than I do. one of the most ridiculous talking points in the offseason about Aaron Rodgers, I think it was Colin Cowherd, and I think it caught some traction, was that the reason Aaron Rodgers isn't as successful as his talent may be is because he's not married.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever
I
heard.
thought so too. Oh my
That's
God.
the
It was
dumbest
so,
thing I've ever heard.
you're just looking for content and you stumble on that.
What's the one thing Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that every other quarterback currently has? A wife. Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? You know what I think it is? I think it's a dude who's just not happy being in Green Bay anymore, but doesn't want to say it out loud.
And he doesn't have anybody to throw to.
Doesn't have anyone to throw to. Who was the one receiver? There was one of the receivers this past week who apparently got injured.
Romeo Dobbs.
I don't know. No, not him. The other guy, because he went out. He was questionable. He was sitting on the bike on the sideline. Then he was ruled out. And with 1:20 left in the fourth quarter against the Lions, he came back in.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name, and I apologize for that. I didn't even mean to talk about this. But, yeah, I heard that. I just heard that this morning, and I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing in the world. That is a guy, and it wasn't like, I'm injured, I can't walk, I'm waiting to be cleared. Like, he was questionable. Then he was on the bike, helmet off, pedaling, like doing exercises. Then he was completely ruled out. So, okay, that should mean like he's done, right? And then he comes in when the game's on the line to try and make a difference. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you want to be there. Like that to me, that screams like I only care when it matters, when you should care all the time, right?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
I'm missing
he should have
something.
been cycling on the airplane. Maybe he should have taken.
Maybe he should have brought his bike on the airplane.
Yeah. And hey guys, look, I'm working out. God, I hate that guy.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him. So we'll leave it on. I think we leave it at that. I think we leave it at screw Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, you're corny. I hope you're listening too.
You're corny. Aaron Rodgers, get off the drugs. Stop going on the Pat McAfee show. You're not doing anybody any favors. It's fun and it's entertaining, but every time you lose, all I think
We only want to hear from winners.
Yeah, I only want to hear from winners. There's like 15 other people I'd rather listen to on that show.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, guys. Hey, well, we're up and running on YouTube. We're going to keep this thing going. We're going to, as we get along, we're going to start expanding and reaching out and getting some probably, I think, eventually we'll incorporate some kind of like audience interaction and stuff like that. So please follow us, listen to us on the radio, look at those links,
yep.
We will be back in these seats next week.
We'll be back in the chair next Wednesday. Yeah, it's Armchair Analysts on YouTube, and then it's WDSR Duquesne Student Radio is the radio station. So thank you, everyone, so much for listening to us this week, and we'll be back in the chair next Wednesday.
All right, happy birthday, Marines. Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Good job. We did it. We got through the whole thing.
What's that?
We got through your whole.
Yeah.
It was almost perfect.
Yeah.
It was great job.
I think I kicked this computer. Oh, hey, we're still live on YouTube. Goodbye. Goodbye forever. See ya.